This young lady has been a phenomenal man. She's been a whirlwind of knowledge for our calls and for the blessings that she's been putting out for all of us to understand. And I'll tell you what, let me introduce her the proper way. She's a traditional business owner. She's a mom, she's a wife, and she's a good lady. She volunteers in a community. That's what makes her a great lady. She volunteers in a community. She serves in the Chamber of Commerce and the board of directors. And she takes care of her dad now. She's been RVP in 3.5 years. She talked about you can't go fast, you can't go slow. And anyway, I can't wait to hear what she did today because last week she set us on fire. So without further ado, can we give a warm welcome to Regional Vice President, none other from Northern California, Miss Keri Roeder.
Good morning. Good morning. Don't you love that he wakes up with this kind of energy? I was telling everybody I wake up this way too, but in my household, I have to be like cool and calm because my daughter doesn't live with us anymore, but my husband and my daughter used to always be like, oh my God, why do you wake up so happy? Why not? Right? Anywho's, hello. Good morning, everybody. I was thinking about it this morning when I got up at like 7. I was all, how does Japan get on these calls at 1 a.m.? Like, that is super impressive. I really kudos to you all for doing that. That's just absolutely amazing. And so good morning. It's so fun to be on these calls. And I know some of you are at work, some of you are at home. And I just give grace to all of you for making time to be on these calls regularly that Mr. Thomas offers. You know what's funny is the wisdom that most of us give to you on these calls when we're invited to do so actually comes directly from Mr. Thomas or from his lineage, somebody he taught who then taught us. So anything that we say on these calls, genuinely, he obviously knows, but likely taught us in some capacity. So one of the things that I love about Mr. Thomas is he's always deferring to other people because he understands you cannot be a prophet in your own land, and yet we should be. Because what do I always say about Mr. Thomas? Not only should we use him, he's our tool, right? We need to be using him as a tool. Don't take him for granted, use him as a tool. So okay, so today's conversation I'm actually pretty excited about. So last week I told you I was meeting with a woman and she told me, she were like meeting, she bought me coffee. She's like, oh, by the way, right? She did that whole passive, I have something to tell you. And I talked about know who your audience is. I'm a shark. Don't do that to me. Like, just tell me that we're here for a business meeting, because I've got stuff to do or not, but I don't want to be sideswiped by that. Okay, so there's tip number 1. Anywho's, so she recruited me and I told her I don't look at other businesses because I don't. In 13.5 years, I've never looked at another business, but I did tell her I would get the information to consider becoming her customer. And I said, I've been doing network marketing for almost 14 years, and that's why I don't look at other businesses. She said, oh, what do you do? So if you all remember, we scheduled for us to meet the following Sunday. We have a mutual person. She has a friend, and I know that person that I'd previously recruited. And so I asked her to bring her. She was actually thinking of somebody else too. So here we are, Sunday. Sunday. We're scheduled to meet. And so my tips are going to be kind of along the way in my story. Okay. So when we scheduled to meet, I did it with knowing I had to leave at a certain amount of time. That way I was going to have her present first and then I would present last, because you always want your information last and their thoughts, right? But I also wanted to make sure I wasn't going to get in a question answer situation that I could bail. Okay. So tip number 1, kind of do that. But okay. So here's the story. So she and her friend showed up late. I was like, okay. So here you are trying to gain my business and you show up late. I was 10 minutes before the appointment. So here I was sitting there for 20 minutes all by myself because waiting to order their coffee, because she never replied what she wanted their coffee to be. But here they are showing up 10 minutes late. So by the time we ordered coffee, sat down, I got to know her friend, Teresa. We only have 45 minutes left before when I have to leave in order to do these 2 presentations. Okay. So she's like, why don't you start? I said, no, go ahead, you start. Right? So she starts and she literally like grabs her phone she had no material for us, like no written material that I could look at, that her friend could look at, because her friend had never seen the presentation either. So we have our 1 through 6 that you can print right out of the back office, right? Printed in color, by the way. I know if you don't have a home printer in color, go to Staples, spend the 54 cents, whatever it is. Okay. You want to look, well, you want to be professional. Therefore, you want to look professional. Don't print those in black and white, you guys. They pop in color. Okay. So number 1, show up with material. Number 2, as we were asking questions, she had no answers. She had none. She is brand new getting started. Poor thing. She'd been in it. She said that she got started the day before she and I met. So here she was, just, 10 days into this thing. She had no material. She had no answers. She's scrolling through her phone the whole time. It's this, I was going to say weird, and it's being recorded. It's this weird company that if you get this debit card, then you load your own money on the debit card. And then as you use it, you get these points, I guess, towards this website that you could buy things off of at a discounted rate using your points. But then I'm thinking, but then that was my own money anyway. Anyway, so just keep that in mind. It's this debit card thing. Okay. And it's brand new. So she's scrolling through her phone, trying to get the answers her friend and I are asking. And so here's the thing, Mr. Kupit says you're trying to get people to like you. Okay. When you get people to like you, they'll do what you want them to do. So instead of bashing her company, I flipped it and I was like, you know what? Her name is Talitha. I said, Talitha, I'm glad that we're asking these questions and that you're going to find these answers out, because this is going to help you do better in your company. Like, you're going to succeed because you're going to have answers to questions. So this is great. I'm glad. So I kind of shifted the mindset and made her feel comfortable and okay with not having answers. My suggestion to you is, which, anyway, as I go through this. So I'm organized. Okay. So anyway, so she had no answers. Okay, so then I asked something about a mentor. She said, oh, well, the guy that got me started is a Facebook friend who lives somewhere. So that she just don't even know the guy who got her started in this startup company that, anyway, whatever. So apparently she was texting him while I was asking, her friend and I were asking all these questions. She finally replied, she goes, oh, he's not available. He's having a family day. He's with his family because he's been really busy in the holidays and everything. So he's with his family. I'm thinking, dude, like, she's trying to help you make money. Like, what do you mean you're not available? Okay. So another tip is to, when you're going to go and put yourself out there, we all have mentors here. Okay. But please schedule in advance with your mentor. Let them know, listen, Sunday at 3, I'm going to go meet with some ladies at the coffee shop. Would you be available to answer their questions instead of texting us in the moment? Because honestly, we might not be available. I can't always answer people's calls or text messages. And so please organize that in advance. Okay. Okay. They're not called reps. They're called DM somethings. I don't know, but we're going to call them a rep for this point. Okay. So as she's going along and I'm asking questions about this credit card thing, I said something about, or maybe the friend said something about, have you signed up your own? So she bought into the business for $500. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, can I see your credit card? Your debit card? She goes, oh, well, they don't have them yet because they're all digital and they haven't sent them out yet. And I said, oh, okay, then can I see your digital one? She goes, well, I don't have it. I don't know where it is. And the friend goes, well, have you bought anything yet? She goes, well, no, I haven't even uploaded my own money yet. So she's not even her own customer. Okay, Mr. Kupitz taught me, he's my mentor. Mr. Kupitz taught me to say things like, you don't have to become your own customer, become a customer of the services that make sense to you and your household right now. That's the whole thing in customer acquisition. It is. Here's what I'm sitting there thinking. Wait a minute. You want my bank account information to buy this debit card thing? But you haven't even done it yourself? It was in that moment that I realized the true power of us becoming our own customer in ACN. Because I'm like, lady, you want me to be your customer? You're not even your own? What is happening here? Anyway, nicest woman. I'm not trying to bash her. I'm just telling you an experience. Okay. Anyway, so not her own customer yet. So then she was kind of mumbling. about training. And she said, well, I've watched a couple of videos. So there's been no formal training offered to her. Apparently, in Las Vegas, they did a big to-do where everybody got together. But otherwise, she's watched a couple of videos. There's been no offer of trainings like live in person or via Zoom with an actual like slides and all that. So she has no training. So this poor woman is just swimming in an ocean, lost and confused. And then she has this shark, me, roll up with all these questions, gobbled her up, right? Like, okay. So poor thing, it's not her fault. It's her leadership's fault, who wasn't available because he was having family time. It's like, wait, you got this woman started from across the country, and now you're not even willing to help her. Fascinating. Okay, check this out. So then she's, explaining, well, if I get if I get three people underneath me, I get a $250 bonus every month. I go, what? If I get three people underneath me, I get a $250 bonus every month. Then I said, where's the revenue come from? She goes, oh, I don't know. I said, so you get three reps underneath you and you get $250 a month? She goes, yeah. I said, without customers? She said, yeah. I said, that might be a little alarming. You might want to look into that. We really do have some industry standards and rules. So just honey, and again, I was trying to be positive and encouraging to her. I'm like, just look into where that revenue comes from. She's like, oh, that's a good point. Okay. So then she didn't know anything about her compensation plan, like nothing. And again, not her fault because nobody has offered to train her. Okay, let's talk about the company. Company's a startup and they're in pre-launch, I guess, and they're trying to launch. And in order for me to become a customer, I have to pay. Did you hear that? I have to pay money to become a customer. I have to pay money to get this debit card that I load my own money onto. That she also thought that when I use it, I get charged a fee. I'm like, well, her friend and I looked at each other like, that doesn't make sense. I'll use my Southwest card and get miles, right? Like, why would I get paid a fee on my own money? But then I remembered I was making my Keri face. And so I was like, okay, well, no worries, just find out if that's true, right? Because I try not to bash her, but I'm thinking that's ridiculous. So the value is I pay to get this debit card. I load my own money onto it. I use it. I get these points that I could go onto some random website and buy random things with my points, but I still have to spend money because only like a percentage of your points go towards it. So if it's $100, I still have to spend 60. I'm all, okay, this sounds exciting. Okay, here's the kicker. They want my bank account information. No, ma'am, I am not giving some random company that you know nothing about my credit card information. I said, are they FDIC insured? She goes, I think so. Okay, check this out. She says to us, she had already told me this. She said, when this company first got started, there was a man, I don't know his name. There was a man that apparently has such a bad reputation in the financial institution world that Visa, when they learned he was a part of it, backed out. Well, at this big announcement or big training event thing in Vegas, they announced because of that, he has decided to step out of the company. And because he's now out of the company, supposedly Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and all them are now a part of the company. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, what? Like, what kind of integrity of a company are we having here? And again, I'm not saying this to bash anybody. I'm saying this because now I'm going to compare that experience to an ACN presentation. Okay. Now, one of the tips I'm going to give you is this. I don't necessarily care what you say when you're talking about ACN. I mean, say accurate stuff. Okay. But say it with confidence. Because people like me, if you're trying to pitch me a business opportunity and you're all, I don't know, done. Not even going to listen to you. Okay. Now, that kind of happened to me when I saw the ACN opportunity and I read past my cousin and I could see the business model and all that and the money. And so I was good, but you're going to turn a whole lot of people off if you're not speaking confidently. Okay. Now it was my turn to present. I looked at the clock. It was perfect. I had 15 minutes or 17 minutes before I had to go. So I was like, yes, right. 10-minute presentation. Get in, get out. Okay. So I start the presentation. Now, I suggest that you don't present yourself. If you do, cool. Edify your source of information, which is what I do. Okay. But you all don't need to present yourself. You all have mentors, you all have leaders who can present on your behalf. What some people do when they're in the situation where maybe the mentor's not available, they'll play the video, right? And then they'll create value for their mentor and just defer, 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 defer. Peek and pass, we call it. So if you are in a situation where you do want to present yourself, if you're going to do it confidently. Don't, and you better be ready because you're going to get people like me who are going to ask you questions. Okay. Defer, 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 or show the video, edify your leadership, and in advance, because you scheduled it in advance, you can get them on the phone. Okay. Now, the credibility of our company, it was super cool to go, okay, I handed them the in color 1 through 6, right? And I was like, okay, well, here's cool. Here's what's cool about our company. You know, we're finishing our 30th year in business, blah, blah, blah. So I talked about box 1. I was able to talk about how our credibility is irrefutable and they can actually look up the credibility of our company. So that was cool. And again, I was trying to do it in a way to not bash my friend. Okay. Also, I talked about money is only distributed when customers are acquired. And you see both of them go, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. Yep, doesn't that kind of make sense? We can only distribute compensation when customers are acquired. Okay, so now to kind of wrap this up, I went right, and they were like, where are you in the comp plan? I said, I'm right here in the orange. She said, oh, how quickly can you get to the green, which is senior vice president? I said, well, that's why we're here, ladies. And then I created value for I am actively recruiting. I'm starting new lines of business. My job is to help you make money. And so I just did that whole confidence closing thing. I was no longer presenting. I wasn't training. What I was doing was sitting there looking these two ladies in the eye saying this. Listen, you're here because you're open and you're looking for extra income. I'm the person that can help you make that. And those weren't my exact words, but my posture, I went from, oh, friendly little presentation about ACN to boom. I mean, my chest was out, my chin was up. I was looking them in the eye. I was talking with my SVP boys. And it didn't matter at that point what I said, ladies and gentlemen. They don't remember what I said, but I spoke with so much confidence that these two ladies wanted to follow me. It doesn't matter what you say, it matters how you say it. Now, go in. We talked about this, I think, last week. Go in pre-planned on what it is you're going to say so that you are not fumbling. Mr. Thomas and I, the Kings, Mr. Baker, all the other leaders on this call, we can kind of wing it because we've done it enough. Okay. But if it's not you, then what I want you to do is this. I want you to get in a mirror and I want you to look yourself in the eye and I want you to speak like I'm speaking now. And I want you to absolutely project your voice. I want you to use your Keri Roeder inside voice, right? Where you are just loud, where you are confident, where you're looking people in the eye. You're not stumbling over your words. You know where you are going. And damn it, I want to take you with me. And if you come, good for you. And if you don't, no skin off my back because I'm going. That's maybe not the words, but that is the mindset. That is the attitude. That is the posture. That is where I want you to be having those conversations at the end of every presentation, regardless of whether you did the presentation or not, that you can stand there and look people in the eye and say, come with me. I know where I'm going. And some of you are like, well, but Mrs. Roeder, I haven't gotten there yet. I don't care. We talked about this, I think, last time. Be, do, have. Be the senior vice president that Mr. Thomas is. I'm the senior vice president, but would you agree in this moment? I kind of have the posture of what, right? Be, do, have. Have the posture of being whatever level of success you're looking for in ACN. Do what it takes and you will have it. But when you be it, when you start that way, people will be afraid not to follow you, whether it's through being a customer or being a business partner, or they're certainly going to step out of your way out of fear that you're going to run them over. And then who cares? Move on. Now, to kind of wrap this up, I said, I have to go, ladies. I'm so sorry. I said, however, the next step, I said, I'm not going to let you make a decision right now. I'm not going to make you let you make a decision until you've been trained. Once you've been trained, then you can make your decision if you're going to do this with me or not. So what I did was I said, I said I have the training because again, you'll kind of coordinate with whatever your training options were. Mine, because I have the slides and the training from Mr. Kupitz, I said, listen, I'm more than happy to give you all an hour training that just gives you the basics of how you can make money in your first 30 days and see how simple it is what we do. It's not easy, but it's simple. So we scheduled to meet Monday night. So this is Sunday afternoon. We scheduled to meet Monday evening so I could train these two. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the emotional roller coaster. How many of you would be like, yeah, I'm getting me two new business partners, right? How many of you will be doing that? Cool, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, Monday morning, when I sent in our group text, I asked my friend to do a group text between the three of us so I could have her friend's number. Okay. I said, good morning. Looking forward to seeing you all tonight. And the friend replied back, oh my God, I woke up sick. I'm so sorry. I have to reschedule. Emotional roller coaster. How many of you would have plummeted? Oh, now they're not available till Friday. This is never going to happen. Woe is me, right? Oh, they say to do things quickly in 24 hours, blah, 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 right? How many of you would have plummeted? So here's what ended up happening. I said, well, Shalitha is available Friday. And then she actually replied back, I actually can meet Thursday. I was like, cool, Thursday works for me. So now we're meeting Thursday. Now, we do that whole thing, you know, the 5-day thing. After one day you lose this punch and another day you lose. Okay, here's the thing. You're looking for the right people. You're looking for eyes on the business. So the emotional roller coaster part I want you to know is this. When I had those two ladies come into training the next day, I wasn't all, I left and I was like, sweet, got my car, had the top down, drove to my little dinner with my friends, had dinner, like got home, I told Roeder, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is cool. Right. The next day, when I got the whole, oh, I'm sick, we need to reschedule. I didn't plummet. I didn't cry. I didn't sit down and pet my dog. The world's ending. Right. Like, okay, cool. When are you available? Like, how quickly can I get this information in front of you? And when Thursday happens, same thing. I'm just going to speak with confidence. And whatever they decide, they decide. I care, but I don't care. Like, I care when you say, yes, I want to do this with me, or yes, I will become your customer. If you say no, the timing's not right, cool, no worries. Hey, who do you know who the timing is right for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are additional trainings. But the point of my conversation today is this. Speak confidently, show up as a professional, be on time, be early. Early is on time, by the way. In business meetings, early is on time, okay? Show up with the proper material, not in black and white, in color. Pre-organize with your mentor that you're doing this so they are available to jump on a phone to answer that person's questions so that you're not doing it. Know when your next training is so that you can promote the next training. Have it all pre-organized. And in advance of all that, look yourself in the mirror, or your friend or your significant other or your child or your dog, might make your dog hyper, but whatever. But I want you to speak like the SVP in which you are. I want you to look people in the eye. I want you to know what it is you're going to say, or at least the mindset you're going to have when you go to say things in. And I want you to get elevated. I want you to be animated. I want you to be able to speak in the manner in which people like me, people like Mr. Thomas, people like the Kings, Mr. Baker will go, oh my God, I have to follow this woman, or at least I have to get started. And imagine if you recruit somebody who recruits somebody who recruits somebody who then recruits a Mr. Al Thomas. Will you not be happy that you spoke like an SVP that day? Even if it's just one power line of business that you have, because that will help you build the rest of your business. So speak confidently, speak like the leader in which you are. Whether your title says it or not is irrelevant, you guys. I've been an SVP for 13 years. I just haven't done the work to get there. So, but I'm doing it now. So I'm going to turn this call back to you, Mr. Thomas. Thank you for letting me speak on these Tuesdays in the month of November. It is always an honor and a privilege. And again, everybody, I can't stress this enough. I know most all the leaders he invites onto these calls. And again, we either learned it directly from him, or from somebody who he taught ahead of us. We learned it from them because he is truly just a phenom, not just in ACN, but in this industry globally. You guys, the founders respect him. He is truly a servant, which is why he does this for you every single morning. And as you can see, woo, he's a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn the call back to you, Mr. Thomas. Thank you again.